Hello, guys. You are welcome to another edition of this program, Know Your Legal Rights. First and foremost, let me tell you, my name is Vincent Essien. In today's edition of Know Your Legal Rights, we'll be talking about an interesting topic, a topic that affects your legal rights as a citizen of this country, Nigeria, that also affects my legal rights as a citizen of this country, Nigeria. Some time ago, in the month of August, precisely 1st of August, and also in the month of October, some people went out to protest. And after the protest, as it used to be, after every protest in this country, some people were arrested. Some of the protesters were arrested, and up to today, some of the protesters are still held in custody. So the federal government is to arraign about 89 or 87 protesters in the 1st of November this year. So we are going to discuss about the story. So the question one needs to ask, that is protest now a crime under the Nigerian law? Because these people were not even only be arrested just for protesting. The life of these people are being demanded for. In other words, some of these protesters are being charged for a heinous crime like treason, which the penalty under the Nigerian law is death penalty. So the question is it a crime to protest under the Nigerian law? Is a protest a crime? And if it is not, is the right absolute, or is there a restriction to this right of protest under the Nigerian law? If if there is not, or if there is, what should one do to avoid having problem with the law during the period of protest, before, during, and after a protest? All this will be discussed in this particular edition of Know Your Legal Right. So sit tight and enjoy the discussion. Once again, you're welcome to this edition of Know Your Legal Rights. So, the topic we're talking about today is protest under the Nigerian law. We were looking at protest under the Nigerian law. That is what we'll be looking at today. Under this topic, protest under the Nigerian law, we'll be looking at the definition of protest. That is, what is protest under the Nigerian law. We'll be looking at the various forms of protest of, under the Nigerian law, all that are permitted under the Nigerian law. Also, we'll be looking at the right to protest. Do Nigerian citizens have the right to protest? Does the Nigerian Constitution guarantee our citizens right to protest under the law? And under the right to protest, we'll be looking at the issue of permission. We'll be looking at the issue of state of emergency. Also, we'll be looking at issue of protesting within a specific area. So we'll be looking at the definition of protest under the Nigerian law. We'll be looking at the various forms of protest. Under that, we'll be looking at these various issues I just mentioned. Also, we'll be looking at the right to protest under the Nigerian law. And also, we'll be looking at the rights that are likely to be violated during protest, before protest, and after protest. And also, we'll also be looking at the law that guarantee or protect the rights of Nigerians against the violation of those rights, against the violations of the right to protest. And finally, we'll be looking at how to seek redress, or seeking redress against violated rights. That if your right is being violated as a Nigerian during protest, or during the period of protest, or after protest, how do you go about to seek redress for your violated right? Time will not permit us to look at international law that guarantees or protect the right of citizens, the right of nation, the right of people to protest. So we'll just focus our concentration within the Nigerian law. The question is, what is protest? Under the Nigerian law, what is protest? First and foremost, let us know that protest occurs in every facet of human life. In the home, there are protests. Children protest against the parents. The parents might make some decision and which is not appealing to the children. The children might protest against that decision. In the office, the worker protests against the employers, they protest against the management decision. So protest virtually occurs in every areas of our life. Protest occurs in every areas of our life. But in today's discussion, we'll be limiting our discussion to protest under the Nigerian law. So just as we have protests in every areas of our life, in the school environment, we have protests, the student protests against some of the decisions of the management, like when there was a hike in fees, in school fees, this when there was an increase in school fees, students went on protest. There have been student protests, right? There were student protests against some of the decision of management. So we have different facets of protest. So protests occur in various aspects. So protests generally protest simply means protest is a public expression, or a protest simply means a public demonstration or an expression of dissidence against certain policies, certain actions, and certain conditions. Now, it could be in the home setting, it could be in the school environment setting, it could be in the work environment setting, where the employers express or publicly demonstrate their dissident, their disagreement with certain policies made by the management. But just as I said that we are looking at protests under the Nigerian law. So we are looking at protests generally, whether under Nigerian law or not under the protest generally is a public demonstration or an expression of dissident, disagreement to certain policies of the government that the people felt are anti-people, policies of the government that leads to the suffering of the masses, policies of the government that leads to increase in prices of food, policies that are not favorable to the generality of the people, the majority of the population. So if it's under the school setting, it's policies that are affecting the student that are not favorable to the student. So that's why I say generally protest is a public demonstration of dissidence or an expression of dissidence to certain policies. If it's under the school setting against the management of the school, the policies of management of the school, if it's under the government settings, which we are looking at under Nigerian law, that means against the policies of the government that are not people's friendly, also against certain conditions. That is a condition in which people find themselves, the state in which people find themselves, the state of livelihood, the present financial condition, the present employment condition, the present state of things. So it is a public demonstration or an expression against certain policies, certain conditions, and certain actions. It could be some actions that have been taken by the government that the people are not finding it favorable, it's not favorable to the people, or the majority of the people, to the masses. So if under the school setting now we are looking at it at action taken by the school management that is not favorable to the management of the people, of the students. If it's under employment setting, that means it's not favorable. It's actions taken by the management of that particular organization, not favorable to the workers. So now, but our topic here, we are limiting our topic to protest under the Nigerian law, under the Nigerian constitution. So therefore, generally is a public demonstration or an expression to certain policies, certain actions, and certain conditions that are not favorable to the people. So also protest. If protests, if protests are forms of expression, assembly that are constitutionally protected rights under the Nigerian constitution. Therefore, what are the various forms of protest? Forms of protest. What are the various forms of protest? that are permitted under the Nigerian law, under the Nigerian constitution. The first form of protest I'm going to talk about is a peaceful assembly and demonstration. This is the commonest type of protest. Peaceful assembly and demonstration. That word, peaceful assembly. This is a gathering. This is a gathering together of people in order to express their view or their demands on a specific issue. It could be in form of rally, it could be in form of marches, it could be in form of sitting. Now, first and foremost, that name, peaceful assembly. In other words, the peaceful assembly or expression. Now, the assembly must be peaceful. The very moment is not peaceful, is no longer a protest. And that will attract the security agent to come in order to restore peace, in order to restore public peace. So the gathering of the people must be peaceful, peaceful assembly. It must be peaceful assembly. The assembly must be peaceful. It must be a peaceful assembly. It must be a peaceful assembly or a peaceful demonstration. Once the assembly or the demonstration, the gathering of people or the demonstration of people is not peaceful, is no longer a protest. And that will attract the security agent to step in order to restore public peace and safety, in order to restore public order. So the moment the gathering of people are no longer, the gathering of people it becomes violence, is no longer peaceful, is no longer a protest. So protest that is guaranteed under the Nigerian law is a gathering of people that is peaceful, is a peaceful gathering of people, is a peaceful demonstration of people against policies, against policies, against actions, and against conditions that are not favorable to the masses. So the protest that is permitted under the Nigerian constitution is that which is peaceful, which is a peaceful, and the demonstration is that which is a peaceful. The development is not peaceful, the development, the gathering and the assembly is not peaceful, and the demonstration is not peaceful, is not guaranteed, is not protected under the Nigerian constitution, is no longer a protest. And that will attract the security agent to step in. And such people that are involved will face the wrath of the law. So the first type of protest is peaceful assembly and peaceful demonstration. Now, this peaceful assembly or this demonstration could take the form of rally. It could be in form of rally, it could be in form of sit-in, and it could be in form of marches. That takes us to another type of protest, which is procession. Now, procession is where people come together and they move along the streets or public places in order to convey their messages or to express their dissidence or their demands about the particular government policies that is not favorable to the people, about the particular government action that is anti-people, that is not to the favor of the masses. Also, we have the one of sit-in and occupation. This is a situation whereby people come together, they assemble together, they come together, and they occupy a particular government office. They occupy a particular government office or a particular public building in order to express their demands. There was one time in this country whereby people occupied the front of the National Assembly, not even once, not even twice. People occupy the front of the National Assembly in order to express their demands, in order to express their rights. Even that time people go to INEC office, that time people gather there together to protest, in a form of protest, in order to express their demands. So when people come together to occupy a particular place, a particular building, a particular public office, is a form of protest. But the one that is guaranteed under the Nigerian Constitution, that the Constitution protected, it must be a peaceful gathering, a peaceful coming together, and expressing your view, your demand, or your dissidence in a peaceful way that is not a threat to public peace and a threat to public safety. Also, we have another type of protest, online and social media campaign. This is where people create awareness through online. they raise up issue through online and create support for that particular issue online, or express their demands or their dissidence against particular government policy or through various social media platforms is a form of protest, given the power of IT or the use of IT in this modern days. Also, it is a form of protest. Also, we have another form of protest that is only being used, using the act of symbolic acts, or using acts or a particular symbolic structures, using art again as a form to demonstrate their opinion, or a form of art, using art also in protest, also in public demonstration, expression. People also carry art. They draw a lot of diagram in clothes, carrying a particular cloth, draw a lot of diagram in that cloth. That's art, expressing a particular thing against a particular or a specific issue, expressing their opinion about a particular issue. So art demonstration also, in it could be in the form of a cloth, it could be in the form of an art symbol, is also a kind of protest, and also a form of protest. Also, another form of protest, another type of protest under the Nigerian law, is there's another type of protest that is also known as a civil disobedience. Now, under the civil disobedience, people purposely breaks the law in order to express their view against that particular law or that particular policy that is being passed. That the masses are against that particular law, the masses are against that particular policy. People intentionally breaks the law, people intentionally violate the law, people intentionally do things that contradict that particular law, and also to express their dissident, their disagreement with such kind of policies and such kind of law. So now, those are the different forms of protest. Now let us look at another thing under this topic, um, protest under the Nigerian law. Now, we've looked at what is protest under Nigerian law, and we look at the various types of protest, the various forms in which protest can take. Now, we are going to look at the right to protest under the Nigerian law. Do you have a right as a Nigerian citizen to protest? And where does this right emanate from? Which particular law? Is it the Constitution of Nigeria? Does it guarantee people the right to protest? There was section of the Constitution that guarantees the Nigerian people to protest. And what does that section say? So, in order for you not to fall victim of protest, does the law tells us that the right is absolute? That means you can do whatever you like, or there are restrictions as regard this right. Stay tuned. The right to protest. The right to protest. Under the Nigerian law, does the Nigerian law guarantees the citizen the right to protest? Now, looking at the various laws of Nigeria that governs the right to protest, one will come to one conclusion, that the Constitution actually guarantees people the right to protest. Now, it is very, very important when it comes to the right to protest for one to understand his right to protest and the obligation that goes with that right. There's one thing for one to have a right to do a particular thing that's guaranteed by the law of Nigeria, by the law of the country. Also, there's one thing that there's the obligation that goes with exercising such a right. So, as the Constitution guarantees one the right to protest, it also guarantees one the right to protest. One, it also lay on that particular person exercising that right the obligation to ensure that such protest is done peacefully. Such protest is conducted peacefully, and such protest is not a threat to public order, to public safety. It's also not a threat to people's lives and property. So, yes, the Constitution actually guarantees people the right to protest. The Constitution guarantees people the right to protest. It gives people freedom of it give people the constitution guarantee people the freedom of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression. Now, yes, people have the right to express their opinion about the government policies, about government decision. They also have the right to express their pains, express what they are going through, express their dissidence, express their, their dissidence or disagreement against a particular policies. The Constitution guarantees people's right, but it also says when expressing this right, it should be done peacefully. The manner in order to express this right, it should be conducted peacefully. It should be done peacefully. So the Constitution grants people the right of freedom of expression and peaceful assembly. Now people are free to express their opinion, express their pains, express their tears, just like the last protest that took place. But the Constitution guarantees that this should be done peacefully. It also guarantees the right to peaceful assembly. Take note of that word, peaceful assembly. That means the assembly must be peaceful. Once it is not peaceful, it's not guaranteed by the Constitution. Therefore, it will be subject to legal action. Once it is not peaceful, it's no longer a protest. Once it is not peaceful, once the assembly is not peaceful, or the assembly becomes violent, it's no longer sanctioned by the law, and it surely attract the security personnel and trust and security personnel. Once they step in, they will use the force that goes beyond the right to protest. Under the Nigerian law, does the Nigerian law guarantee the citizen the right to protest? Now, looking at the various laws of Nigeria that governs the right to protest, one will come to one conclusion that the Constitution actually guarantees people the right to protest. Now, it is very, very important when it comes to the right to protest for one to understand his right to protest and the obligation that goes with that right. There's one thing for one to have the right to do a particular thing that's guaranteed by the law of Nigeria, by the law of the country. Also, there's one thing that there's the obligation that goes with exercising such a right. So, as the Constitution guarantees one the right to protest, it also guarantees one the right to protest. One, it also lay on that particular person exercising that right the obligation to ensure that such protest to run peacefully. Protection not people the right to off the order of the expression and is also not a trait associated to people's life and property. So when people decide the Constitution actually guarantees particular right to protest, the Constitution for guaranteeing people right to particular objective free to kick against the Constitution guarantees decision, the freedom of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression. Yes, people have the right to express people the right to come together opinions about the government policies, about government decisions. They also have the right to express applications, express to what they are done peacefully, express their dissidence, express it should be done that was section 40 of the dissidence or disagreement, and that's the particular Constitution guarantees people the right. The Constitution guarantees people's right to protest. Guarantees why expressing manner in which it should be done peacefully. It's been the manner in order to express this right. It should be conducted peacefully. It should be done the laws of federation of Nigeria. The Constitution guarantees people the right. Other state laws, some states and different states have various laws that regulate the public demonstration to express their opinion, express their pains, express their decision, just like the last protest at all different constitution guarantees that it should be done peacefully. It also guarantees the right to peaceful assembly. Take note of that. You must peaceful assembly. The specific requirement assembly must be peaceful. Once there's not peaceful, it is not guaranteed. That Constitution Act. Therefore, it is subject to legal how the manner in which once there is not peaceful is not requires it. Once it is not peaceful, once the assembly is not peaceful, also the police becomes violence. If you are not focus on you and particularly in the attract security personnel, permission, trust and security personnel. Once they step in, they will use security personnel that includes that police now permission has been gotten and also ensure so that they are being given to planning and protect all time to execute final recommendations about the plan protest to it within the Gaza police and the public and the state ensure that the police requires that the organizer such protest is done push and such is collect threat to the public from the police is not a threat to and also that should notify the threat plan to life and now the purpose of this is not for that such is conducted in section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution and these people from that is are trying to stop from their fundamental right of freedom of expression against that and to associate with others very purpose of this is the right of such is conducted by section 40 such of the Nigerian Constitution amended the right of order and section 40 does not discriminate the right to protest and is not a threat to the Nigerian Constitution. It's not a threat to public order and also not a threat of national security. And that association state public order associate with other people freely police acts. So when people decide to come together for a particular and also the one to come together for a particular goal, a particular objective, and the manner to implement the police is a criminal or something in the southern and western part of the country is something of plan requisites in public demonstration. It gives people the right to come together to assembly and the public demonstration. But that's inconsistent guarantee. That's inconsistent labor while in the not of the country to that about the penal code to penal code that would be certain. The section is justifies of the section code 40 of the constitutional protest should be done. Also that the constitution public demonstration of public demonstrations should be done. Now that's the protest to guarantee people the right. The online provision is done in relation to public order laws of Nigeria. So therefore, for instance, these protests that council and laws of constitution in Nigeria order laws to and other sections of such we are translated action as laws that such is not offensive on that section 62 because it's again is public demonstration and also the regular protest. And this is not the first one is the state threat to the peace of others protest. So the criminal section but also regulates the manner in which each state demonstrates specific achievement of its own protest to take this decision. Now, the police 65 also offering the Nigerian Constitution and the manner in which protest is done. The police act then requires also we can also look at permission and in notification the state laws the police now, if state if you are planning to protest or you want to visit also have in order to ensure public permission and also got the local authority security government regulation concerning public demonstration concerning permission has been protest and signing ensure everything has been notified so it one the final is not a condition of peace and because of protest assembly so that's a police subject to focus and state order act requires that so the organizer are taking protest to ensure that collecting it obtained peacefully from the police that the organizer should be notified collecting that land protest to prior now the purpose of this is not to do is to stop people from protesting because if the right to protest is done peacefully and it's not a threat to that is trying to not a threat to public fundamental right is not a threat to life and taking equal action against the activity. So ensures of this is to ensure that such has conducted peacefully that such protest does not give out to become violent. Take the right of other citizens. That such a protest sometimes can be different on the right. Now, this right to protest is not a threat to restricted or easy. It's not in the Nigerian public order and also not a threat to national security. That focus on the state such right is not absolute or restricted act. In other words, there are situations which protest and also the one is not such right. Like section 45 of the same and the manner in says that they do not in section 97. It is not section western part for the credit system to section 4 regulate public demonstration that leads to public that public demonstration event a law protest made that that is justified in the not for the interest or a peace about the national security regulates that. Public section 60 and public safety, the criminal that is regulated. So therefore, the for the interest of public order, public demonstration of public interest. Now, the right section 60 to 60 protected, that is subsection provision, that section 45 says this in relation to public order be restricted. So therefore, for instance, we protest that permits violence or that is a plan or that leads to shout. Such we
Nigerian law does not issue the right to protest. It also lay an application on you to ensure that the
such is conducted peacefully order to ensure that it has then permits the right to permit has been gotten and this threat to the peace has been given others. So the criminal subsection is conducted in this manner. It is not a threat to public order, public issue. It also is not a threat to right expression. So the regulated by section 65 of this Nigerian Constitution. So then we also the right to protest. Now we are going to look at the violation of the state protest. Also what condition? Because this right is violated to its public demonstration. And also we have now we see that this right is not absolute. So you can see that the law guarantees the right to protest also public demonstration concerning protest or that is protested for assembly. So then to go on assembly and there is not conduct a peace situation comes out this rightful assembly violated that will be subject to shoot you have the right to be violated. If you must violate the right to take a test ensure that it is conducted peacefully, that the required permit has been collected and prior notification has been given to the authority concerned and ensure such protest is done peacefully. It's not a threat to public order, it's not a threat to public safety, it's not a threat to lives and property, even to national security. Ensure so once you become part of a protest and the protest begins to become violent, take your leave out of that protest. But it's no longer guaranteed by the Constitution. Now, this right to protest, is it restricted or is it absolute under the Nigerian Constitution? 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended. Such right is not absolute, it is restricted. In other words, there are situations or circumstances that can limit the exercise of such rights. Like Section 45 of the same Constitution says that there is nothing in Section 37, there is nothing in Section 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, Section 41 of the Nigerian Constitution that will derogate or that will prevent any law that is made that is justifiable for the interest of peace or interest of national security, public order, and public safety. That there is. So therefore, if for the interest of public order, public safety, if for the interest of the rights of other people to be protected, that is subsection B of that section 45, says this right of protest could be restricted. So if you are planning to go for a protest, or you are planning for a protest, ensure that the law has the
Nigerian law does not issue the right to protest. It also lay an obligation on you to ensure that
such is conducted peacefully, to ensure that the permit, the right permit has been gotten and prior notification has been given, and to ensure that such protest is conducted peacefully, is not a threat to public order, public safety, and also is not a threat to life and property of other citizens of the country. So now we've seen the right to protest. Now we are going to look at the violation of this right to protest. Under what condition can this right be violated during the period of protest or after the period of protest? Now we've seen that this right is not absolute. We can see that the law guarantees the right to protest. Also leave the obligation on those that want to protest or that is protesting, the obligation for them to conduct themselves peacefully. Now let us see situation where this right might be violated and what should of protest should be validated.
Before we look at notable cases, before we look at the rights that are being violated during protest, such as the right to freedom of expression, the right to peaceful act and freedom of expression, the right to liberty, the right to human dignity, and the right to life, the right to fair hearing. Let's look at some notable cases relating to protest in Nigeria. Now, notable cases relating to protest in Nigeria. Now, we have the case of Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project versus the federal government of Nigeria in 2019. In this particular case, there is SERAP, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, filed a lawsuit against the federal government challenging the use of force against the protesters. Now, what was the outcome of the case? Now, what was the issue in that case? In that case, the issue in the case was the core issue was whether the government's use of force and intimidation against peaceful protesters violated their constitutional rights. And what was the outcome of that case? The court ruled in favor of Sarah, affirming that the government's actions were unconstitutional and ordering a review of the policies related to management of policy. Like currently, there's a case in court as regards the last protest that took place in 1st of August this year, why some protesters have been arraigned in court for crying out that there are hunger in the land and things for hiking price in cost of living. Some protesters are still today in custody and they will be arraigned in court in 1st of November this year. So, 1st of November this year. So, in this particular case, the court ruled that the use of force were unconstitutional and ordering a review of the police. Now, the decision of that case will affect your right and my right, even the right of the judges in relating to it will affect that for everyone, every foot, for the fundamental rights of Nigeria, even this administration and the administration that are yet to come. So it will also affect everyone's fundamental rights. The decision of the court concerning that case. So let's watch is a case which all Nigerians should watch out to see the decision, to hear the decision of the court, because it's a case that deals with the fundamental rights of Nigeria, of every citizen of Nigeria. Even this administration, one day they will still leave the administration, it will also affect their fundamental right. Now also we have the case of NSAS protest. In 2020. Now, what was the background of this case? This was a case against the police brutality and the special anti-robbery squad involved in widespread demonstration across Nigeria. And what was the issue of this case? In this particular case, the issue that was before the court in this particular case was several legal challenges that emerged from the violent crackdown of protesters by law enforcement agencies. Issues included the legality of the use of force, unlawful arrest, and violation of human rights. Now, various cases were unfolded in relation to this protest, and we can see that. At the end, we can see that just of recent, that Lagos State government released some part of NSTAT protesters that were held in custody. Of recent, the Lagos State government released some of these protesters. Now, violated rights. Now, before we look at the violated rights, let's talk about the issue. We're going to talk about issues relating to protest. Let's look at some issues relating to protest that I want to look into is declaring of a state of emergency. Always during the time of protest, the period of protest, like the last protest, some were saying the state of emergency should be declared. Some saying that the police can declare the state of emergency in order to stop the planned protest of
or to oppress the protesters during protest. Now, I want to talk about the issue of a state of emergency. First and foremost, no law, Nigerian law give the police the right to declare a state of emergency. Now, the police could only advise, or the police could intimidate, could advise the state government or the president of Nigeria, because it is a constitutional authority of the president of Nigeria or the state governor of a particular state that has the right to declare a state of emergency in a particular state or in a particular area. So what the police could do, the police can only advise, but the police cannot declare a state of emergency. So also now using a state of declaring a state of emergency to stop a particular protest or to suppress an ongoing protest is not really a tool that is being used in suppressing protest. It's a constitutional right that is guaranteed by the Constitution of Nigeria, Section 305 of the Nigerian Constitution, gives the president the right to declare a state of emergency in the country, and this could only be under certain conditions. One, when there is war in the country, or when there is an invasion in the country, or when there is a public demonstration that threatens public order, public safety, that threatens the lives and property of the people, but not to suppress a particular protest or to stop a protest that is about to start. So now you can see that the state of using the state of emergency, like in some northern parts of the country, some northern states of the country, during the last protest, the protest went violent in some northern parts of the country. It was so serious and it was so violent that made some state government start declaring a state of emergency, because then that situation has gotten serious. It has threatened public safety, it has threatened public order, it has threatened the security of that particular state. So that was the reason they had to declare the state of emergency. So it is emergency in those states. It's a constitutional right of the state government and not that of the police force, and also the constitutional right of the presidency. So there's a limitation to the use of these two in of the state of emergency. So there are certain conditions that has to be present before this particular tool of state of emergency could be used. So just as I've mentioned now, so there must be a situation where the country is in war, or there is an invasion, or there is a threat to public order, public safety, threat to life and property that is so serious, or even the threat to national security. This will lead to the declaring of a state of emergency, and even declaring a state of emergency, the Constitution gave a limitation to that. That is not absolute. That the state government or the president of the country cannot just declare a state of emergency. It must be approved by the National Assembly, and it is given, National Assembly is given within 30 days to approve the state of emergency. So the right is not really absolute. It's not really absolute. It's not an absolute right. So let's look at the violated right during protest. What are the rights of Nigerians that are violated during protest? Violated rights. The right that can be violated during protest, or your right that might be violated during protest. So if you are planning to join the protest, or you are planning you are planning to join a particular protest, or you are planning the protest, take note of this right that might be violated, or the right of protesters that are likely violated during protest, or that will be violated, that may be violated during protest. What are the rights that are likely to be violated? What are the rights of protesters that are likely to be violated during protest or after a protest? Now, the rights that are likely to be violated if you plan to join a protest or you are planning to organize a protest, your rights that are likely to be violated are your fundamental rights. So, are the fundamental rights of the people that are likely to be violated as enshrined, that is, as provided in the 1999 Constitution by the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999, as amended from Section 33 to Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Now, Section 33 talks about the right to life. The Section 34 talks about the right to human dignity. Section 35 talks about the right to liberty. While Section 36 talks about the right to fair hearing. The right to fair hearing. Section 37 talks about the right to privacy. Section 37 talks about the right to privacy. Section 38, Section 39 deals with freedom of expression and freedom of association, while Section 40 deals with freedom of peaceful assembly, and Section I think that's up to Section 42 talks about the right to non-discrimination. So your right to freedom, Section 40 talks where the right to protest emanates from, gives Nigerian the right of freedom of association and freedom of peaceful assembly. Take note that the Constitution says peaceful assembly. Assembly must be peaceful. So that right is likely to be violated because there will be a ban to that protest, like the last protest that took place. You can see that everything was done in order to avoid protest to take place. So there will likely be a bound of that protest, and there will be likely be an interference from the government against the protest, or even from the security personnel, like that it bring an interference to the peaceful assembly. Like the last protest, we can see the various videos that were flying over the social medias, the number of police officers that were sent down to Lagos State in order to disperse peaceful protesters, in order against the peaceful protesters, unarmed protesters. People are crying that they are hungry. So we can see the number of police was. I myself personally was wondering, I said, do we have this number of police was in this country? And here in the north, people could not go into their family. Bandits are having the bandits are having a free day there. They are doing all what the like people can go into their family. We have this number of policemen. They can't send them to go and deal with those bandits and kidnappers that are terrorizing the northern part of the country. So there will be likely there will be an interference to this peaceful assembly. There will be an interference to this peaceful assembly. So this is a right that's likely to be violated. Then we have the right to life. Yeah, there will be the right to life, that is physical safety and protection. This right is likely to be violated because during protest, just like the last protest, some people were killed, some people lost their life during this particular process. So this right also will be violated. This right to life also will be violated, and physical protest. You can see how even the right to Section 34 that talks about right of human dignity. People were maltreated, protesters were maltreated, inhuman treatment were given to protesters by the security personnel. Those people were maltreated, protesters were maltreated, even protesters were being shot even by even by the military, and being shot police class protesters did a lot of things. So all this inhuman and degrading treatment with right to be will be violated. Also the right to personal liberty. Section 35, and that right because there will be unlawful arrest, unlawful detention. People will be arrested and will be detained without a charge, just like the last protest. That some protesters that were picked, it took over a month, up to a month, that there were no charges levied against these people. These people were arrested arbitrarily and detained arbitrarily without a charge. So that is why Nigeria was shouting, if the federal government is not going to lay charge against these people, let them regain their freedom. we can see the phantom, the amount of charges that were levied against these protesters that even led to even up to the point that the life of these protesters were even being demanded for because charges like treason in Nigeria, the punishment for treason or treasonable offenses is death sentence according to the criminal code. So that means the life of these protesters were demanded for because they cried out that they are hungry. So this right to liberty also will be violated. The right to fair hearing, you'll be arrested, you'll be detained without hearing your own side of the story, without being tried in the competent court. Um, Also, there will be a delay in the trial, the prolonged period of the trial, like the last protesters that were arrested. Some were being free, while some are still in detention. The case has been postponed to November 1st. So there will be delayed in this particular case. So this right of fair hearing also will be violated. The right to privacy also will be violated, such as the that's like the case of the NSC that we had, the NLC, how the security personnel went into their office to search their office and so on and so forth. And why some other people were assaulted, like the case of Suarez, who was coming back, he was picked to their. So there will be a right to privacy surveillance will be laid on some people. There are some people will be placed on the watch list and so on and so forth. So the right to privacy also will be violated. The right to freedom of expression. Now, freedom of expression, people that are protesters with an opposing view of the administration, protesters with an opinion, with dissident view about the policies of the protesters. You can start the last protest, people were crying that the policy is too harsh, people were hungry, there's hiking prices of things, people were arrested. So this right of freedom of expression also will be violated as guaranteed by Section 39, Section 40 talks about the right of freedom of assembly will also be violated. Also the right of non-discrimination. Now particular set of people will be targeted, especially people that are related, people that are in another party that is not the ruling party. So the right also will be violated. So if you are planning to join the protest or you are planning to organize a protest, take note all these rights will be violated. So if you're about to join the protest or to plan the protest, you have to ensure that such is done peacefully, that such is done within the boundaries of Nigerian law in order to prevent or to reduce the extent of this right that will be violated. Now, if these rights are violated, there are ways, there are mechanisms in which you can seek redress for this violated right. We are going to see some of this. Legal remedy and mechanism. So let's look at legal remedies and mechanism. That is ways in which you can get justice for your violated right if your right has been violated or if your right has been infringed upon. If any of these rights that we've mentioned have been violated or have been infringed upon, whether during the time of protest or not even the time of protest, what are the mechanisms available under the Nigerian law that you can use to address, to seek redress or to get justice for your violated right? There are various laws in Nigeria that addresses right violations in Nigeria, even during the period of protest, like the Anti-Protest Act of 2017 of 2017. It is a act that protects, that regulates the use of force by the security personnel, even the police. Is a act in which that addresses every form of violation to every form of violation of rights of of Nigerians, of the rights of people, even during the periods of protest. The Anti-Torture Act. The act is against every form of every form of torture against Nigerian citizens, even during the period of protest. Then we have the 1999 Constitution, as I've said, right from section 33 to section 42 of 1999. That 1999 Constitution was amended. Also, addresses the rights um, of citizens, or if their right is violated, even during the period of protest. That's the section 33 that talks about the right to life. Section 34 that talks about the right of human dignity. Section 35 that talks about the right to personal liberty. Section 36 that talks about a fair hearing. Section 37 that talks about right to privacy. Section 38 and then 39 deals with freedom of expression, freedom of association. Section 40 that talks about the right to freedom of peaceful assembly. Take note, peaceful assembly. That is where the right to protest emanates from, peaceful assembly. While Section 42 talks about the right to non-discrimination. And also, take also note that this right, though this right is not absolute. Section 45 talks about derogation of the right, and it gave condition under which the right could be derogated from. That is during the period of war, during the period of invasion, during the period of any kind of serious public disturbances that will lead to a threat to public safety, public order, that will lead to threat to public safety, public order, and also that will lead to threat to life and property. So that is on that the ground, or that is the grounds in which this right could be derogated from. Also, we have the National Human Commission Right Act. That right also addresses issue of, of violation of this fundamental rights. Okay, now let's look at we've looked at the laws that addresses this particular. We looked at law that addresses the violation of this particular right. So let's look at the legal remedy that are available if your right has been violated during the period of protest or after protest, even when it's not the time of protest um, that's available. One, we have the judicial review. The person whose right has been violated can file a case in court against the violators of the rights, whether it's the government or an employer or the school authority in the case of the student. But if the case of like the community we are looking at under Nigerian Constitution, those that the rights are violated, you can file a case against the government concerning your violated right through your lawyers and file the case against them, and the court is going to review the actions of the security personnel, the actions of the government, if it is in line with the constitution, and also if it's in line with the standard of human rights. So that is what the court is going to do, and the court is going to decide on that particular case. Also, we have public interest litigation. This is a non-governmental organizations and advocacy groups that are interested in public litigation in cases of right violation to ensure accountability. Also, we have done some cases of independent human rights independent human rights investigation. This is cases involve high-profile cases of abuse, whereby international organization or other countries might also play a role to ensure that the person involved, the people's right has been violated, ensure justice is served and justice is being given to such people. Also, we have the case of we have the National Human Rights Commission. National Human Rights Commission also protect the rights of the citizen, but also protects the rights of the citizen. So one could seek a redress through any of this mechanism. Even the legal aid council is also an advocacy group that also help against violation of public rights. So any of this you can use it to address any of your right that is violated. Now, judicial review, filing a case in court um, against the violators of the rights. You can file a case in court, and also besides filing a case in court, the public interest litigation group, you can also pass through that channel to get your rights that have been violated, to get justice for it, and also you can also pass through the other mechanisms that are available. This passing through this will help you to get your right, and also to take note that if you want to embark on a protest or you want to plan a protest, ensure that the protest must be safety. The protest must be peaceful. It must not be a threat to public safety, to public order. It must not be a violent protest. It must not be a threat and a protest as a threat to public peace, public safety, public order, to people's lives and property. Now, take for instance, if you're coming out for a protest and I happen to I lock down my office or my shop, and I happen to go my business, I close down my business, I happen to go for a protest. After the protest, and I come back, my shop, my office or my business have been broken into, and goods or properties or things worth millions and millions of naira has been gotten with it. So you need such kind of person join any protest or any further protest or any future protest. So even no matter how the situation will be, such set of people would not want to join future protests because of what they have experienced. So we see some people that are against protests. It's not that they are not feeling the situation of the country or what is going on, but because of their experience of previous protests. They went out to protest. They joined the people in protest. At the end of the day, they came back. Their businesses have been destroyed and offices have been broken into, have been burnt out. Such kind of people will not want to join future protests. Such kind of people will kick against or do everything against any future protest, even no matter what, no matter the situation. Those people agree that they will look for a way to survive. So ensure that if you're planning a protest or you want to go or you want to join a protest, ensure that it is done peacefully. Ensure that it is not a threat to public peace, not a threat to public order, it's not a threat to public safety and lives and property. And secondly, remember, once these protests become violent, it attracts the security personnel. And even the people you are protesting against, the administration you are protesting against, they are not happy about it. So you give them room and give them room to take legal action against you, the protester. So at the end of the day, who won? You or the administration? Because at the end of the day, you are protesting about a particular thing. Now you've gone outside the law. You didn't protest within the boundary of the law. And at the end of the day, we use that as a ground against you, the protester. You'll be arrested, you'll be denied your right, you'll be denied your liberty. But God knows when you will get freedom. Why some people will die even in that particular period of protest. So at the end of the war, you or the people you are protesting against. And also you scare other people from freedom from future protest. And also secondly, also take note. Don't let people use you as a means to an end, as a tool to where they are going to. All these administrations that are coming into Nigeria, the last administration, even the current administration, when you look at it, there were people and what they themselves were protesting against. They were protesting against then administrations. The then administration were bad, the life and things is unbearable. They were protesting vehemently with against previous administration. But when they came into when they take over the administration, their whole situation, their own policy, their own practice, even worse than that of the administration they were protesting against. So now what does this tell you? It tells you that they were not actually fighting for the masses. They were not actually fighting for the public. They were actually using the public as a tool to an end, as a tool to where they are going to, as a means to an end. They are using the public as a ladder to get to the height where they are going to. And once they get to that height where they are going to, they already achieve what they want. So because right from the beginning they were fighting, even to the point some of them had to flee the country to safety. Now, what policies are they compared to that of the administration they were fighting against? Things will tell that they were only using the masses to get to where they want to go, and they've already got to what they want. So at the end of the day, they drop the masses. Every policy is not masses centered, it's not people centered, it's not people oriented. Because they already got to what they want, they only use the masses, use the public as a means to an end. So if someone is calling you for a protest, yes, the situation of things is bad, the things is hard, they use that as a means. You are feeling it and you want to join the protest. Do it within the law if you must protest within. Because those people they only use you as a means to an end. At the end of the day, they drop you. Because once they achieve what they want to get, once they get to where they want to go to, when they get to that height they want to get to, they forget it's only them and their family. These people that are calling, let's protest, let's protest, let's protest. Have you sat down to think? Just like all the administration that you protested with. Even the last administration, many people sacrificed their life, many people were arrested, many people lost their life during the protest. Even this current administration, when they were protesting in previous days against previous government, some people lost their life, some people lost, but they knew that this thing would take place and they went out, they protested. People joined the protest, they also protested. From there, they came out of limelight. Now, today, they will tell you that today, what are they going to say? They got there by their own power. They got there by their own power. They got there by their own money. They got there by their own means. So everybody that protested with them, that paid the price, even people that died, even your father and your forefathers have fought alongside with them. That some are alive, some are no more alive. Now you, the children, you're now still fighting. So when anyone is calling for protest, look at this particular person. How many lives have this particular person touched? How many Nigerians have this particular person raised out of poverty? I'm not talking about the immediate people around them or their friends or their colleagues or people around them. How many Nigerians that they don't know have they raised out of poverty? How many communities have they touched? What have they done to touch the lives of millions of Nigerians? Or we bring them out of poverty. Now they are kicking at this. They want to go out and protest. And you want to join this set of people. Take note. If this set of people are not people that actually have touched lives and raised millions of Nigerians. I'm not talking about immediate people around them, their friends or close people within them. I'm not talking about one or two people that they helped. I'm talking about millions of Nigerians. They've not touched the lives of millions of Nigerians. We are going out with these people to protest. I want to tell you at the end of the day, when they get what they want, or they use it as a means to end, they will forget you. They will still be the same person like the last administration, like this administration. When they get what they want, the same people that will use the security personnel against you, that fought and protested for them to get where they are currently. They will still use the same security personnel against you. They will still use the same every tool, every power they acquire to against you that is protesting against them. So, if you must join a protest, do it within the law. Let your protest be done within the law. Let it be within the boundaries of the law. Let it be peaceful. Let it not be a threat to public life and public safety. Let it not be a threat to people's property, and also ensure that the prior notice has been given to the right authority and permit has been gotten. And the protest is done within the area that has been allocated by that particular authority for it to take place. Once the protest, if you must join a protest, once it becomes violence or it's becoming violent, take your leave. If not, you will have problem with the law. Thank you for listening, and don't forget that. Thank you for listening, and don't forget that this lecture, this program is only meant for educative purpose. If you have problems regarding protest, or you are planning a particular protest, or you want to join a protest, please do seek a legal advice. Please do get the advice from a practicing lawyer, a practicing barrister. Do get advice for them. This program is only meant for educative purposes. Ensure to protect your safety, protect your liberty, so that you must protect. So if in case you want to protest another day, or you want to join the protest or plan the protest, protect your personal liberty, protect your personal freedom. Thank you once again for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to us, to my social. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and don't forget to share this video. And also, don't forget to like this video, and also, finally, excuse me, and most importantly, don't forget to drop your comment at the description of of this of this video. Please, and also drop drop areas of the law that you would like me to speak upon, so that in my next video I'm going to look at the areas that demands more attention by Nigerians. I'm going to do a video on that particular area. It could be an area of family law, the area of marriage. What is Nigerian law saying about marriage? It could be an area of abuse, my spouse abused, or child abused, or whatever types of abuse. It could be the case of property rights, whatever area of law you would like me to make video on. I want to know what the Nigerian law is saying concerning that. You just want to have knowledge about it. Drop that on the comment section, so in my next video I'm going to know, I'm going to do a video on that area that are most demanded by the people. Thank you.